Welcome to the German American Bank Ken Schutheis Show here on WBG-TV 27 Jasper. Now, here's TV 27's Kurt Gutgsell and the coach of the Jasper Wildcats, Ken Schutheis.
Good evening and welcome to the season premiere edition of the German American Bank Ken Schutheis Show here on TV 27. I'm your host, Kurt Gutgsell, along with the coach, Ken Schutheis. Coach, welcome aboard, and we should have a lot of fun this winter and early spring talking basketball on all levels.
Well, it's going to be an exciting addition to the Jasper basketball program. We welcome the fact that Channel 27 and GAB is going to be a part of that, and I'm really excited about it because it gives the people in the community an opportunity to see a different dimension, understand what's going on in the program a little bit more, and we get a chance to face off a little bit and talk basketball.
We'll probably do that from time to time. We'll be back to talk basketball here on the GAB Ken Schutheis Show right after this.
You know, in the game of basketball, teamwork is extremely important. We try to stress that point to all of the young people in our Jasper basketball program, everyone working for a common goal. At the German American Bank, they practice the same concept. The entire GAB team strives to provide you with the best financial services around. So when it comes to your banking needs, join a winning team. Come to the German American Bank.
Hello, I'm Brent Weibel, station manager of WBG-TV 27 in Jasper. If you are interested in enhancing your business through the modern medium of television advertising, then contact one of our sales representatives at TV 27 by phoning 482-2727. They will be glad to show and to explain to you the elements, advantages, and rewards of television advertising. Experience the power and effectiveness firsthand of advertising on your local television station, WBG-TV 27 in Jasper.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Kenny, it's hard to believe, but basketball season is once again with us. How's practice been going?
Well, I think, anytime you get into the first year, even when you've got people coming back, and you're mixing them with young people who haven't been a part of the program up to this point as far as varsity and JV work goes, some days you're going well, Kurt. You think, boy, this team is really along. And then you come back the next day and you're sitting there and you're pulling your hair out and saying, are we ever going to get to the point we need to get to? But one thing this group is doing is trying to understand what it is to work hard. We still have some people that have to catch on to working hard with a purpose and not just going out there and working hard. They have to get something out of the hard work. And, we feel like as a staff, we've got a long way to go, but we feel like we've turned the corner on some things offensively and defensively to get us ready for the Jamboree on Friday night.
It seems like the beginning of the season, then when you get to tourney time, that's probably the best time for coaches. I know it is for me as a broadcaster because you're more into it. I mean, you're getting those dog days within February and January, but the beginning and the end seems like to be a special time.
Well, the beginning, as Coach Sherry says, you've always got the attention of your kids, and we do. We have the attention of our kids right now. They've got a lot of enthusiasm. They're working hard in certain areas, and they're still busting things. They're still getting on the floor. They're still getting things accomplished, and you know they're listening because they're coming out and trying to do those things right. But that middle of the year is a tough time. But you know what? When we get to that middle of the year, we'll have to talk about that because I think that is the time that helps create tournament-ready teams because they're able to get through those dog days, as we call them, and keep mentally sharp for that end of the year.
Last year, your season came to an end in the sectional against Forest Park in probably one of the better basketball games played in that old barn in a while. Just talk about that ball game and the rest of your season last year. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. We had 15 wins. We won the conference, the first outright Big 8 conference that Jasper had won since being there. And it was a situation in which we really felt like going into the season, we had a lot of holes to fill with the loss of Noblet and Mills and those kids. But Scott Rowland really stepped up his leadership, not so much verbally, but on the floor, doing things right, and helping the younger kids to understand. We started a freshman and a sophomore last year, along with the junior and some seniors, but it was a situation we came in the tournament, we had to play a very good Forest Park team, and I'm one of the greatest competitors when it comes out and having to win a basketball game, getting after it. It hurt a lot to lose that basketball game. But as you sit back and you look at the team you lost to, you knew they were a very good basketball team, and Danny Digitized did a great job. But what an individual performance put on by Scott Rowland going into that last quarter. And even more than that, the rest of our kids picked up his lead, and we really had a finish in which 6,000 people were standing on their feet, some hoping he wouldn't hit another one, and others hoping we'd finish it off and get the win.
Was it strange not to see number 10 when you guys opened the doors on practice this year?
Well, it was strange because we didn't have that young man that we knew we could go to immediately, and he was going to get things accomplished in the practice situation. But he left a great legacy for kids to follow, and he left a lot of knowledge for kids to understand and bring back with them. And fortunately, Scott has stayed in touch with us and spent last weekend with him a little bit, and he's doing well, and I wish him all the luck in the world.
I know this may sound like a strange question or a strange statement, but you guys might not miss him as much as you would somebody that would take 35 or 30 or 25 shots a ball game, because he never really called for the ball. It all came in the course of an offensive situation.
Yeah, Scott was a very unselfish player, and many times I told you that we wish he'd be a little more selfish with the basketball, but he was very team-oriented. There's four guys out there with him, and he wanted to make sure everybody was involved, and I think that will help us in the short run as well as the long run. But, you still got a gaping hole to fill. But, high school basketball, college basketball, pro basketball, any sport, every year you got to put new people in the spot. And if your program's consistent, if your program is working in the right direction, you'll fill those holes.
What about offensively? What have you seen so far in leads to what kind of team you'll have in that area?
Well, we feel like this year, Kurt, we've got a little more defense. Post play inside. Last year, they were able to defend our post so easily, and we feel like Brad Schneer, Nick Blessinger, Joe Shelton, Sean Waniger, several others can help us down low. I think that's going to open up an inside-outside game. In the past, Jasper's had a very good three-point perimeter shooting team the last couple years. I think we can have that again, but I think we're going to have a little more post play, and that's going to complement. I think that's one thing in certain games where we've been hurt when they've been able to take away some of the perimeter shooting. We haven't been able to go into the post as easily. We think we can do that this year.
What about on the defensive side of the basketball floor? I know size plays a factor, quickness plays a factor. What about defensively?
Well, you're going to see a lot of what we did last year. We're going to full court press. We're going to man up. You may see a hint of zone here and there, but we're going to be changing up defensively. We feel like at this point we've got 9 or 10 guys we can use both on the offensive and defensive end, and we're going to try to do that. We're going to try to build a consistent flow of players where if we need to press the whole game, we're going to do that. If we need to go to half-court defensive game, we're going to do that. But one thing that's going to be unique about this season, at least since I've been at Jasper, is we have 11 guys on the varsity basketball team at this point, and we feel like all 11 can make a contribution, and in the style of play we're going to be using and have used in the past, they're going to be able to make a contribution.
You, like all coaches, would like to get the ball off the glass on the offensive end and also control things defensively, but a big key to that has to be getting the ball off the boards, rebounding. What about that area?
Well, that's one area that we've been working hard every year to try to improve, and that's one area that I do not think we have been real successful in. I think we must rebound our opponent every single game, and we must do it by 5 or 6 rebounds. We've been poor in the offensive rebounding area. We're trying to change that a little bit, but we still feel like if the kids understand, if they want to get out with the ball and run the transition and get the easy shots, then they'll let defense and rebounding lead to that. If you don't have that, you're not going to have a good transition basketball team.
Those are some of the factors that go into the offense and defensive phases of the Jasper Wildcat basketball program. We'll be back with one of those players that will have to implement that system, senior guard Mike Fischer. We'll talk to Fish right after this on the GAB Ken Schutheis Show.
In the game of basketball, teamwork is extremely important. We try to stress that point to all of the young people in our Jasper basketball program, everyone working for a common goal. At the German American Bank, they practice the same concept. The entire GAB team strives to provide you with the best financial services around. So when it comes to your banking needs, join a winning team. Come to the German American Bank.
Pure Country 100.9 WBDC does more than just play the best in country music. WBDC also has the best sports coverage anywhere. From high school basketball to baseball to the major leagues, WBDC gives you the best coverage. And best of all, you can catch Southern Indiana's most talked about sportscast with WBDC and TV27 sportscaster Kurt Gutgsell every morning at 7:30. Your number one source for sports and country music is Pure Country, FM 101 WBDC.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Ken Schutheis Show. Each week throughout the basketball season, we will have a player profile on the Wildcats roster, their coaching staff, and any other special guests that would happen to drop by the practice gym or the studio. Our first guest this year is senior guard Mike Fischer. And Fish, I guess you're the guinea pig. Welcome to the show, big boy.
Oh, thanks. Glad to be here.
As far as getting into practice, the situation as your senior year unfolds, how's practice going so far for you?
It's going pretty good. We're lacking a little experience right now, and hopefully our seniors can step forward and show their experience as so we can get off to a pretty good start.
You mentioned the basketball team. What kind of team are you guys expecting this year? You had a great year last year.
Yeah, we're expecting a little faster pace this year, I think. Get the ball out and go. We're going to be hurting a little. Everybody thinks we're small, but we're going to make that up with hustle.
Last year, you came in off the bench a few times and lit it up. What is your role with this basketball team this year?
Well, right now I'm trying to show some leadership, getting everybody else involved, trying to get everybody, where they want the ball, stuff like that, just trying to get them involved in the offense.
When you sit down with Coach Ken Schutheis, what is your strengths for this basketball team? What do you bring to the table to your team?
Well, I like to think I bring a little experience right now. I got in a couple games last year, and hopefully my experience can carry over from last year. And, if I see offense ain't clicking where it should be clicking, I hope I can bring the experience of, settle the ball down, settle down a little bit.
You've practiced a lot during the summer. You had a busy summer playing. How much does summer work help a player right now as you begin the season?
Well, I think it really shows up, when you're in the gym, whether you can constantly hit the jump shot or, make the move. You can tell when people are rusty that they haven't been in the gym.
Have a lot of your teammates been working out in the summer?
Yeah, I think we had a good summer. We took a couple guys down to 5-star, and I think we had an outstanding summer.
5-star, for the people that don't know what that is, could you explain a little bit about that camp?
Yeah, that's a camp down at Pittsburgh. We took 7 guys down there, and Coach usually takes 7 down there, 7 or 8. And it's a camp where, it's premier talent, It's not one of these camps where, you're mixing with everybody else. This is premier talent.
A lot of the IU recruits were there, Andre Patterson, Neil Reed, among others. If there were a couple of things that you need to work on to get yourself to be a better basketball player and also help the team, what would that be? What does Coach get on you about from time to time?
Right now, it's mental toughness and ball handling. We got a good guard, ball handler in Michael Lewis, and hopefully me and Scott Hagan can develop skills so we can relieve some pressure from him.
In basketball, you're out here every day practicing. You play about 20 or 25 games. What does Mike Fischer like to do when he's not playing basketball?
Well, I kind of like to watch the Packers. Right now, football, right now is all right.
The Packers, that's Coach Dan Cherry's team. Do you guys talk to each other about the Packers?
Always. I don't talk to them when they lose, though.
I understand it from the grapevine that you guys have quite a summer wiffle ball team. Would you like to explain a little bit about your wiffle ball team with a couple of your other teammates?
Well, we got a wiffle ball team. We compete in 3 tournaments every year about. The famous one's the Zoar, and we're trying to get you in there, Goog. We could help. You could help our team a lot. We haven't won one yet, but we're trying.
I can hit the wiffle ball from time to time. Mike, thanks a lot for coming on today, and we wish you the best of luck along with your basketball club, and we'll see you on down the line.
Well, thanks a lot.
That's senior guard Mike Fischer on the Ken Schutheis Show. We'll be back after this on TV 27 Sports.
In the game of basketball, teamwork is extremely important. We try to stress that point to all of the young people in our Jasper basketball program, everyone working for a common goal. At the German American Bank, they practice the same concept. The entire GAB team strives to provide you with the best financial services around. So when it comes to your banking needs, join a winning team. Come to the German American Bank.
Your approach is looking good, Cobra.
The men and women in the National Guard and Reserve face some tough challenges when they serve. Challenges that teach them discipline, leadership, and technical skills that make them better employees. So when they need time off to serve, don't make their toughest challenge approaching you.
Welcome back to the program, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the piece on Mike Fischer, the senior guard. He will wear number 20 for the Wildcats. Coach, what about Mike Fischer's style of play, and what does he bring to the table? We asked him in that segment, but your thoughts?
Well, Mike Fischer last year did a tremendous job for us. After about the fourth game of the year, Kurt, he started out a little bit slow, but ever since Mike started with high school basketball, he's been kind of a slow starter. But really, right after the holiday tournament, he started to come around. He's an excellent perimeter shooter. He has great touch from the three-point line, and he's a great competitor. What he lacks in natural athletic skills, he makes up in smarts, hard work, and understanding why he's doing things. And probably the biggest thing that I remember about Mike Fischer was coming out against Memorial and hitting the shot off the dribble that bounced up off the rim onto the backboard and then dropped in for the game winner. And then some crucial free throws he hit all throughout the season. Very cool at the free throw line. And, those kind of things are intangibles. Those kind of things are leadership qualities that even if they don't come verbally, they come just in your style and your example of play. And Mike Fischer is our team captain at this point. We have not initiated another person as a team captain except for Mike at this point in time, and he's doing a good job. The problem that Mike's dealing with right now is the responsibilities that come with being a team captain. We don't just put a C on their jersey or anything and let them go. We hold them responsible for some of the work that needs to be done and information that needs to be got out to the players. And I know Coach Lewis and I have got on his case a couple of times when we don't think he's quite got it done. But Mike does a great job. He's learning, and he's going to be an excellent player for us this year.
Normally during this segment on the Ken Schutheis Show, we will have the weekly feature Quiz the Coach, where you out there can write in your questions for Coach Schutheis, and we'll do the best we can to answer those questions. And the winner each week out of a random draw will win a basketball from the German-American Bank. And if you have a letter for Coach Schutheis or myself, you can write Quiz the Coach, WBG-TV 27, P.O. Box 1009, Jasper, Indiana 47546. And Coach, since we don't have questions, since this is the first show, I'd like to talk a little bit about the rules of high school basketball that may have changed over the course of the winter or course of the summer and fall months. Have there been any major changes?
Well, I think probably the biggest one we're going to be dealing with is keeping the shirt tucked in the pants. I think a lot of people in the stands are going to like that because I always hear people commenting on the sloppy look of kids with their shirts out. But because of the way some kids were wearing the shirts and the pants, mostly in central Indiana and to the north, the IHSA National Federation have come out with the tucked-in shirt, and if you don't, there is a penalty. You might, I think, a technical and possibly leaving the game until it's taken care of. So that's going to be a big change for some teams, but I don't think it's going to bother Jasper much. That's usually kind of a fashion deal with most kids anyway. But, Kurt, real quick, back to Quiz the Coach. We want to make sure that these questions are quizzing a coach on basketball, and we want to make sure that is the main focus on that.
And we'll make sure they do. And enough of the Jalen Rose and the fashion portion of our program today. The NCAA has taken the shot clock from the beginning to 45, now back down to 35. And I talked to Coach Dan Dockich and also Coach Jim Cruz of the University of Evansville, and they shed their opinions on the new shot clock, and they say it will not affect their game very much. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the shot clock is something that everybody was in fear of a few years back. And once it came into the game, what it did was increase the tempo, of course, but it didn't increase the tempo on every possession. It kept people away from going into that 2-minute delay or minute and a half type delay. But otherwise, it really hasn't affected teams that much. I think all it does is down towards the end of the game, it pushes you to play a little bit quicker tempo and gives teams an opportunity to get some extra shots that they normally wouldn't have gotten against the North Carolina and some other type of teams. But I really don't think it's hurt the game at all.
Will the rich get richer as far as the Kentuckys, the North Carolinas? Will they benefit more, like playing a team like Robert Morris or a Pete Clarill at Princeton in that situation?
Well, it's going to give them a lot more possession opportunities, and it will hurt the Princetons. Princeton does a great job of spreading the floor, but I think it just comes down to more possessions and more shot opportunities. Bottom line is, can you make the shots and can you get the shots you want?
Usually in this segment as well, other than the Quiz the Coach, we'll talk about the other levels of the Jasper basketball program. I know your JV team's working hard, the freshmen under a new coach, and the grades. I know a lot of people are out for basketball, and it can be a problem from time to time. Go through some of that, if you would, starting with the JV and Dan Sherry.
Well, Coach Sherry and the rest of the staff had to make some decisions on players remaining and players that being released. We have 21 kids at this point. We had about 28 give it a shot at the beginning of the year, and through conditioning and on into tryouts. We have 21 right now. And the JV is in a tough situation these first couple weeks, Kurt. They have to get the varsity ready to play. And Coach Sherry has been great and always has been great about understanding that their role right now is to prepare the varsity for the beginning of the season and into the holiday tournament. So he hasn't gotten to really take the time and spend with his kids on the offensive and defensive end the way he'd like to do. But they're doing a good job. They're working hard. Our freshmen are under Coach Dave Lesko and Jay Albrand, and our freshman team has about 19 or 20 kids on it. We have Matt Mock, a freshman who has come up to the JV, so they're minus him. Coach Begley retired this year after 3 really successful, good, strong seasons for us, and we wish Coach Begley and Coach Pearson a lot of luck. And then in our 7th and 8th grade, we had, at the middle school, Kurt, we had 60 kids come out for the 7th grade basketball team. We have got to make it a point to get more teams for our middle school system. We have to find another team to help keep more of these kids out. We've looked at intramural situation. Coach Reese and Coach Stillwell at the middle school and Coach Killian out at Holy Family in the 7th grade are doing a great job. And then in the 8th grade, we've also had large numbers with Chris Rogers at Holy Family, Todd Irwin, and Jared Land at the middle school.
That's a look at the all levels of the Jasper basketball program. We will take a look at the Wildcats' first game next Tuesday night and also the Jamboree when the JB Ken Schutheis Show continues.
You know, in the game of basketball, teamwork is extremely important. We try to stress that point to all of the young people in our Jasper basketball program, everyone working for a common goal. At the German American Bank, they practice the same concept. The entire GAB team strives to provide you with the best financial services around. So when it comes to your banking needs, join a winning team. Come to the German American Bank.
Hello, I'm Brent Weibel, Station Manager of WBG-TV 27 in Jasper. If you are interested in enhancing your business through the modern medium of television advertising, then contact one of our sales representatives at TV27 by phoning 482-2727. They will be glad to show and to explain to you the elements, advantages, and rewards of television advertising. Experience the power and effectiveness firsthand of advertising on your local television station, WBG-TV 27 in Jasper.
We're back on the Ken Schutheis Show. Coach, coming up on Friday night, you will have your first opportunity in Jamboree action. Some other coaches got their opportunity a couple of Fridays ago and also on Tuesday night at the Southridge Jamboree. Your thoughts on the Jamboree situation and how this all came about?
Well, the Jamboree was, I think, a call for the basketball situation to have the same opportunities that football has in that regard. And it's an opportunity for the conferences to make some money because the gate receipts go to the conference. Personally, on a Jamboree standpoint, I really wasn't in favor, but we're going to do it and we're going to participate. It will give 2 things, I think. One, it gives you an opportunity to scout some teams that you hadn't or wouldn't get to see in early season play because they wouldn't play before you played them, and especially that's 3 teams for us, really. Secondly, it gives you a chance to get out really in front of a much bigger crowd than you would have had in just an inter-squad type scrimmage. Play against some competition that maybe is a level above your JV or some of the reserve players on your varsity, and find out some of the mistakes that are going to happen. I would like in the future, if our conference would allow it to happen, Kurt, I'd like to go north and play in a Jamboree with some teams like Richmond and Marion and Anderson. People say, you can't even win all the games around here. How are you going to beat people up there? But it's an opportunity to play some teams that you would not see until late in the tournament and test your skills against their skills and maybe pick some things up as individual and as a team that can help you later on. So that's what we'd like to do down the road if we can set it up.
Well, coaches hold back. I know they do that an awful lot in the football situation. You get maybe 1/4 of people not doing what they normally do during the year, but I guess you can't afford not to do that. You've got to play with things that you're going to use.
Yeah, we're going to be showing some things that we have to use, but maybe some specials, things like that, we may not go to immediately. But we've got to test all different areas because we've got to find out whether people are moving to the right spot, if they understand what we're looking for in a defensive, offensive situation. But I think the biggest thing that's going to happen is you get that fast heartbeat out of the kids. You get that where everything's going 100 miles an hour. And you know from playing athletics, Kurt, when you get out in front of a crowd and you're playing competition, those first couple times, everything just seems to go like that. And we've got to get that out of our kids. They got to get through that. They'll come off and they'll say, Coach, everything just happened so fast. I really didn't have time to react. And that's what you need those inter-squad scrimmages and jamborees for, to get those things out so the quality of your first game is much better.
Speaking of that first game, it's Brian Wall and the Pike Central Chargers, Brad Wiseman among others, a fine junior that they have, and you played them last year, and they're a sectional opponent. What about going into that first ball game?
Well, I'll tell you, Pike Central, as always, is going to have a very competitive system. Brian does a good job, an outstanding job down there in the time and effort he's putting in. Last year, they had a very strong veteran team. We came in with a team that wasn't quite as experienced. We made some mistakes. We came back late but couldn't win the game at Pike Central. This year there's a lot of new faces for Pike Central. Of course, the white-headed guard and Wiseman and Voiles, those three kids there we know a little bit about, but otherwise we don't know a whole lot about them. We know they're a quick team. They're not a big team, but I'm sure they're going to give us all kinds of problems in that first game. The big thing for our kids, go out and do the things we're working on. Do them right. Do them as hard as you can. Put some purpose behind what you're doing, and then we're going to see what happens from there.
A lot of teams have some good players coming back. Who looks good team-wise, and who are some of the good individual players around?
Well, of course, from Forest Park, you have the Begley boy. He's going to help them be a quality basketball team regardless of what they have to go with them, and they've got some very good players. Bossy out of Evansville has a lot of kids back. Tremendous talent last year. Didn't quite get out of it what they wanted. Terre Haute North has a good squad back. We don't have them on our schedule this year, but if we would be fortunate to go on, we'd play them in the tournament. Lagodi, right down, up the road, tremendous basketball team. A lot of young kids, quality kids. And then, of course, in our conference, you got Vincennes and Princeton. The Princeton kids seem to have been around forever. I mean, I don't know if they're ever going to go away, but they'll be a lot like the Jasper kids the next few years. We have a lot of sophomores and juniors made up on our varsity. And Vincennes, of course, with Sean Doherty and three other returning starters, and a heck of a move in from Vincennes Reveille make them awfully, awfully tough. Jeff Tooley and Southridge will be a good basketball team, and so will Du Bois. So, we have a lot of good teams in this area. And, Kurt, I think both of you and I would agree on this. Balance has been a big thing the last few years around here. A lot of good teams that were competing.
Coach, thanks a lot for coming by. We'll see you next week, and we'll talk about the Pike Central game and the Jamboree situation.
Sounds great.
Next week on the GAB Ken Schutheis Show, our player profile will feature senior Brad Schneer. Don't forget Quiz the Coach, and we'll talk to you next week on the GAB Ken Schutheis Show.